Why, hi there, it's Uncle Ron, and I have some thoughts. Kind of a sad day in the internet world as ESPN announced that it was suspending the website Grantland immediately, if not sooner, ending one of the most quixotic and fun reads on the web. I actually had a friend of mine, I won't say a friend, an acquaintance of mine who wrote for them, did some hockey stuff, and I feel bad for him today. He's a good guy. I was in an internet baseball league with him a while ago, and the funny thing is we write things under pseudonyms, and he wrote under the name Bill Simmons and did a pretty gosh darn good Bill Simmons imitation, and he actually got the chance to work with him, which is pretty freaking awesome if you ask me. And so I'm feeling for those folks today. Jonah Carey, who does the baseball, and of course Bill, who had this crazy Simmons, who had this crazy notion that people wanted to read deeper takes onto current issues. Yes, the site was damaged when Simmons made the jump from ESPN to HBO after ESPN let Simmons go. But you can't tell me there isn't a place on the web for well thought out, longish form takes that aren't necessarily adversarial in sports, or don't mix in other things that dudes like, such as beer and women and poker and cars. And I think Grantland was doing a lot more than just being the dude thing. I mean, I don't think we were looking for a Maxim magazine of online with just sports stuff, but just a thoughtful place to take longer reads and to say a couple naughty words and treat subjects as seriously and with some fun, with some levity and a mix of levity and a mix of seriousness. I think part of the reason, outside of ESPN giving Simmons a giant middle finger and shutting down his baby, is that ESPN really couldn't control the narrative of what was coming out of there. If you watch some of their constant opinion shows, First Take, Around the Horn, PTI, ESPN Radio, a lot of it is driven by what ESPN wants to push. ESPN's main goal is not necessarily to promote the leagues that they have the rights to, but to promote ESPN to get you to keep watching. And when Bill Simmons decided that Roger Goodell was public enemy number one, and you know what? Simmons wasn't wrong with that. Goodell really is not a good guy, but that's a whole nother video that we could go into about the peak NFL. ESPN didn't want to upset their rights holders, and the fact that ESPN has a tremendous stake in the NFL. They pay nearly $2 billion a year for a slate of crappy football games on Monday Night Football. I mean, you can't tell me that the Monday Night Football package in 2015 even comes close to what ABC was doing back in 2000, 2005 when they lost the package to NBC. The Monday night package that ABC had is now the Sunday night package that NBC had, including Al Michaels. So when ESPN employees, which these all were putting a lot of pressure onto ESPN's right holders to change some things, there was some breeze back, because ESPN's has to keep the people that they're paying a lot of money happy, and they need to keep things going for ESPN, because ESPN's number one job is to promote itself, not necessarily the leagues, certainly not the college football and the college basketball tonnage or the basketball or the. I mean, look what it does for the sport of hockey. It doesn't do hardly anything for it. Yes, there are things that ESPN does really well. Their game coverage, for the most part, is excellent. But it's all about promoting ESPN, and with the leagues kind of secondary, especially if you're the NFL and the NBA, which you're spending a lot of money on. So something had to give, and I guess it was Grantland, which really is too bad. Intelligent, long form talk. There's a place for it. There's a market for it. You knew the place drew numbers. just simply because of Simmons' connection with it. Simmons, I don't think, is as good of a writer as he was before he got to ESPN. I'll be curious to see what he does now that he's at HBO. But there is a marketplace for it, and maybe a Bleacher Report or an Atlantic Magazine or the Atlantic Magazine or something else will take up the mantle of giving writers a place to tell stories, to tell long form stories. I'm not going to say I'm friends with Glenn Stout, but I've interviewed him with my buddy Andrew Martin, and what he does for SB Nation and their long form program is breathtaking. And we need more of that on there. It's the web. We're not actually producing anything of space content wise. It's just a matter of paying people to put smart takes and to make readers think. And there's not a lot of programming on ESPN that requires thought ever, and that's the way they want it. And for all you goes, I don't like what's going on ESPN's First Take of that, they draw 500,000 eyeballs a day for a mid-morning show. Okay? 500,000 viewers a day. And human what? 1.5 million, 2 million a week? Everyone knows who Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless is. Whether you should or not. But that's what ESPN wants to promote. They want to produce simple arguments that you're going to feel passionately either with or completely against, and take away the gray area and talk about these things all day. Oh, just say what he said about blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it gets you talking about what the agenda that ESPN wants to set. And guess what? With sites like Grantland, they can't set that agenda. It's whatever the writers want, and ESPN, I don't think, was ever comfortable with it. I don't think they're all that comfortable with the television show Outside the Lines. But there is some, gravitas with a show, like what CBS gets with 60 Minutes, which is still a very good show, and others of that long-form kind of not gotcha stuff, make you think as you watch. I'm also kind of worried about the future of ESPN's 30 for 30 documentary program, but I see that they're continuing that at least for the short term. I saw that there's a Dave Greenland one on Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry from the New York Mets. So that's my take on it. I'm very upset for these people who lost their livelihood, get folded into ESPN for a while before they get folded out into something else. The ball has been dropped, and whether Simmons can pick it up at HBO or if Turner would dare to do it with Bleacher Report and actually go through and do to take that more, I don't want to say adult, intelligent approach to writing. I'm not saying that what hot takes are wrong or anything like that, but there's room on the internet. I do it at Seamheads with the notes piece, and that's what my buddy Andrew Martin did with that. Is there's room on the web for take a breath, enjoy, read, and learn pieces. And I think ESPN dropped the ball. But I'm not buying that they couldn't make some money off it or recoup some of their losses. I think it was, we can't control what you're doing. Goodbye. That's wrong, and I'm sorry. All right, that's a special edition of Uncle Ron's Thoughts. Hit like and subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter at Ron Juckett. And until the next time, well, that's my clothesline right there. And until we get together again, I'll talk to you the next time.